Welcome to another episode of History in Your Wallet. Today I'm going to be unboxing my latest order from Yuri111 on eBay. He's one of my favorite eBay sellers, consistently delivers great banknotes for reasonable prices. And then one of the best things is they're always packaged very securely. So I'll go ahead and start cutting open this envelope here. He usually mails them in a nice padded envelope. And inside of that envelope is my order, wrapped in a list of what I got. I'll come back to that later. And then inside of that padded envelope is a nice flat rate envelope that's been cut in half. So I'll go ahead and peel this part open here. Try not to damage anything inside. There we go. And then I can slide out my banknotes. He always packages them in a very nice holder that I'll end up recycling. And I'm very excited to dive into these notes and share them with you. I'm going to put them into some currency sleeves and be back to give you an overview. Now that I've got these banknotes in their currency sleeves, let's go ahead and dive in and talk about each of them briefly. First up is a newer $2 bill from Barbados. This is a vertical polymer note, part of their series issued in 2022. Has a national hero or possibly political figure on the obverse. I'll have to do some more research. Like the nice clear window here on the bottom with the windmill. And it is the windmill theme for why I really wanted to purchase this note. Love this windmill vignette on the reverse. It is the Morgan Lewis windmill in St. Andrew. Have to do some more research into that windmill's history. But what's also really cool about this series of banknotes from Barbados is that if you line them all up, they actually make a map or outline of the country. And you can see a little bit of that here around the windmill. I will probably never get the larger, more expensive notes, but I was very happy to pick up this $2 bill. Very inexpensive and a very nice blue. Sticking with island countries, we're moving to Fiji with a $10 bill. This is not dated, but it's from 2002, showing Queen Elizabeth II here on the obverse. And then as we flip it over, has a really cool scene of a family on a raft or barge with a hut on top of it. You can see some kids over here playing in the water. Just a really cool scene. I love banknotes that have scenes of local or regional life. Really speaks to the culture and the history of the country, and something that is somewhat lacking on notes from the United States. But I was very happy to pick up this $10 bill from Fiji, and you can see the watermark of a person over here on the right. So glad to grab that note. Next up, we have a note from Myanmar. This is my first note from this country. It is a 1,000 chats note. I'm not even going to pretend to understand what these words are, something that I'd have to do some more research into on Numista. But the symbol here on the obverse is a chinze, which is a national symbol of Myanmar. Oftentimes, there's two of these that flank an entrance into important buildings. But the reverse vignette was what really drew me to this particular note, which is fairly common. It shows the central bank of Myanmar. And as I've noted in several other videos, I really enjoy picking up banknotes with vignettes of central banks or government buildings. So I was glad to grab this one for my collection. And there is a watermark over here, which is tough to see. I think it looks like the head of another chinze, but I'm not confident on that. So I'll have to do some more research into it. Moving on to Oman, this is a quarter rial note, somewhat of an earlier note here, picturing their sultan at the time. Love the color gradient that you can see going from blue to red to kind of a greenish hue right here in the center. But it was, again, the reverse vignette for why I pictured or picked up this particular note, shows the modern fishing industry at the time, which I think this note was issued in the late 70s or 1980s. I'll have to go back and double check that. But I like the fishing trawler here and a scene of two men processing the catch. Just a really cool note. Love the squirrel work around it. The nice open field here on the right, which is a watermark. Essentially the same image of the Sultan that appeared on the obverse is also mirrored on the watermark. So very happy to pick up this note, which is a little bit scarcer, from Oman. We're heading next to Yemen. This is the Yemen Arab Republic. It is part of their earlier series of notes from the 1970s, which I really like. This series that features walled cities or ruins. You can get a sense of that here in this little vignette on the left with some very, again, intricate scroll work around. But as we flip it over onto the reverse, just a really stunning scene of some kind of city built on top of this kind of rocky outcrop. I'll have to do some more research into where that is, but just another note that is uncluttered by legends and a really cool scene. Definitely not the cheapest note in the lot, but I'm always happy to pick up these earlier notes from Yemen. So I was glad to add that to my collection. This is a 5 rial note. Next, we're moving on to the larger size notes, starting off with the Cook Islands. This is a $3 bill from their 1992 series. I have the $20 bill, purchased that earlier, also from Yuri. And so this has a nice scene of local dancers and some music over here on the left, an image of one of the Cook Islands over here, a bird, some fish, just a really lovely series of vignettes. And as we flip it over onto the reverse scene, this is common across the series, showing people leaving a local church. And I really love banknotes that picture churches or cathedrals. So anytime I can find a note like this, I'm happy to add it to the collection. But also really love the nice pink color scheme here, something that is not as common on some modern banknotes. So a nice note from the Cook Islands. Next note is from Equatorial Guinea. This is my first note from this country. It is from 1985, a 500 franc note. This is right when Equatorial Guinea adopted the Central African franc and before they switched to having the same banknotes across all the different countries. So I was glad to grab this one, which shows a figurine here on the obverse, and that same figurine appears in the watermark over there on the left. And then as we flip it over onto the reverse, it shows a local artisan crafting a mask and maybe some other figurines here. Love all the scroll work, again, that goes around this vignette, but a really cool scene of a local artisan at work. So I was happy to grab that note. The next one is an inexpensive note from Lebanon. This is a 25 livre note. This particular series that was issued from the 60s through the early 80s shows a lot of ruins, which is something that I really love. So this scene here shows some kind of maybe castle or fort or walled city right on the edge of the water here. So I'll have to do some more research into where that is. And then the reverse scene is even more stunning. It shows some kind of ruined castle, maybe built up on this rocky outcrop next to a stone bridge. Just a really lovely scene with a lot of open space here. Beautifully done by Delarue back in 1983. And the watermark that you can see on the left there is the head of a lion. So, very cool note and inexpensive. Next, we have a 5 kwacha note from Malawi. It shows a political figure here on the obverse, a nice boat scene, very idyllic here in the center, and the watermark over in that open space on the left looks like a rooster. Really nice red coloring. And as we flip it over to the reverse, you can see the University of Malawi. Some really cool buildings, different styles here, and definitely fits into my theme of banknotes with buildings. This is not scarce, but not necessarily common either. So I was glad to grab this note from Malawi. Sticking in Africa for these last 2 notes here, we have a 100 Zaire note from Zaire. This was issued in 1985. This is my second note from this country. Really love the jaguar that's printed here on the obverse and the nice orange coloring. Of course, their dictator appears there as well. And as we flip it over to the back, you can see some kind of government or bank building. I'm pretty sure this is the Central Bank of Zaire, but I'll have to go back and double check on that. But really love this vignette here. And the watermark features that same scene of the dictator over here on the left. So a cool note from Zaire that I was happy to grab, along with this last note here from Zambia. This is a 20,000 kwacha note. I love these series from Zambia with the fish eagle on the obverse, and that fish eagle, pretty sure, also appears kind of mirrored over here in the watermark, which is neat. This is from 2003. And the foil here is an outline of the country, which is very cool. And as we flip it over to the reverse, you can see wildlife here on the left, Lecce. I apologize for the pronunciation there, but this central scene here, I think, is mining, which is really cool. And then the freedom statue, which is common across a lot of banknotes from Zambia at that time. This note was printed by De La Rue, as you can see there on the bottom. And I really love just the color scheme. A lot of very vivid colors across here. It's a little busy, in my opinion, but a cool note. Always happy to grab notes from Zambia. So let me know what you think of my purchases from Yuri this time. Comment below if you'd like me to focus on any of these banknotes in the future in a feature video. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Hope you join us next time.